Tonight, the race is on for the best vantage spots on the harbour as crowds gather for 11,000 fireworks and the greatest show on earth. And police on alert to crack down on drunken trouble. Also tonight, a mother drowns after falling from a yacht. And another shark has Sydney beachgoers running scared.
This is 9 News with Georgie Gardner.
Good evening. It's Sydney's night to show off. 1.5 million people are packed around our stunning harbour, ready to embrace the new year. These are live pictures from the 9 News helicopter, and as you can see, perfect conditions on the harbour. A warm, clear night, making it ideal for a spectacular fireworks display. Our reporters are in the thick of it, amongst the crowds at the very best vantage points. John O'Doherty begins our coverage.
It's the biggest night of the year with the greatest show on the planet, and the best seats go to the most committed.
We're all set up for today, so all ready for tonight.
This is the best spot.
This is the best spot in the house. Can't miss it.
Thousands lined the harbour, braving the summer sun. Some have been here for days.
How are you going to get this spot if you don't come early?
I hope it's worth it.
At Mrs Macquarie's chair, crowds snaked for hours.
It's definitely the big fireworks, without a question, yeah.
Just really looking forward to it.
And when gates opened at 10 a.m, it was a sprint to secure the best seats in the house.
Happy New Year!
And even if you didn't join the early birds, it's not too late to welcome in 2013 with a bang. There are family-friendly events with fireworks and alcohol-free zones at Campbelltown, Penrith Panthers, the Parramatta River foreshore, Coogee, Manly and Coleroy Beach.
See the fireworks. It's an incredibly special experience.
Across the city, last-minute New Year preparations are underway. They're firing up the barbecue at Mount Riverview, and at Bondi, the Sure Thing beach party is being shored up. And finishing touches are still being put on the midnight extravaganza.
So we've got 11,000 fireworks, 16,000 metres of cable, 16 shipping containers of equipment, 100 tonne of sand and 48 crew working over the 10 days. Bigger and better each year.
As always, there's the theme. Tonight, it's Embrace, developed by Aussie icon Kylie Minogue.
I will definitely be trying to find a moment in the madness to really appreciate what an amazing year it's been.
Down by the harbour, it's already chock-a-block. More than 1.5 million people are expected to watch the biggest fireworks display in the world. If you are thinking about heading down to the foreshore to watch the Sydney sky light up, the advice from authorities is take public transport if you can. Additional train services will operate from 4 o'clock, but Circular Quay station will close between 8 and 1. There are extra bus services on all major routes. Ferry services stop at 7:30, but some will start again after midnight. If you are driving, make sure you're not caught out. There are road closures across the city. The Harbour Bridge will shut in both directions from 11 to 1, but the tunnel will remain open. Anzac Bridge will close twice for the fireworks. For a full list, visit livetraffic.com. And now, as we wait, it's just a matter of time.
And the forecast is for a wonderful night, and already I think we can feel the festivity in Sydney.
John O'Doherty, 9 News.
Well, Sylvia Jeffries has a spectacular view from Kirribilli. Sylvia, it's been a long, hot day already. What's the forecast for the evening ahead?
Well, Georgie, the forecast is very promising indeed. It has been an absolutely stunning day. Sydney at its very, very best. It's been a warm afternoon, particularly for the keen crowds who've been camped out here at places like Kirribilli since early this morning. The mercury hit a top of 27 in the city, 36 in our west. Although some relief is now sweeping through with the sea breeze. At midnight, it'll be around 22 degrees in the city, slightly cooler on the beaches and around 19 if you're celebrating in our west. Most importantly, though, I can assure you the skies will remain clear for the fireworks. Now, hundreds of families here at Kirribilli came prepared with shades and umbrellas. They have, certainly in my opinion, secured the best seats in the house. Now, New Year's Day is looking like a scorcher in our west. I will be back with the forecast a little later. Georgie?
We'll see you then, Sylvia. Thank you. Well, there's no view of the fireworks from a police cell. That's the warning to partygoers who are heading out for a big night. More than 3,000 officers will be on the streets of Sydney, watching out for drunken, violent behaviour.
It's the flip side to the city celebrations. A sea of blue getting ready for their busiest night on the streets.
We're here to get involved, roll our sleeves up and get our hands dirty if we have to.
Hundreds of officers preparing their plan of attack for the onslaught of New Year's Eve.
Our biggest concern, as always, is alcohol-related violence and crime.
Not only on the streets, water police breath-testing partygoers as they raise their glasses to another year over.
We've got about 20 courses, the odd drink, and we're going to have a good time.
But for the few that take it too far, our force will be ready.
We will have over 3,000 police around the state deployed tonight specifically for all the New Year's Eve events.
And they're desperate to avoid ugly scenes like this.
Get on the ground!
It starts from here. Revellers flooding liquor stores, some on an alcohol-fuelled mission. What sort of night are you gonna have ahead?
I think it's going to be a wild one. You're going to do New Year's Eve in style. That's what you're going to do, all right? This is just for me.
It's also a big night for Dr. Gordian Fulda, who's left to pick up the pieces when a night goes wrong.
Society just doesn't see how ugly it gets, especially 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, when people have just had too much to drink.
For paramedics, it's simple.
There's a very fine line between having a good time and then things getting crazy.
Wherever you are, police could be watching, and a criminal record is not the way to start the new year.
Our message is that everyone has to accept responsibility for their own actions, and they need to think about the consequences of whether they wake up the next day and find themselves in trouble.
Live to Dimity Clancy in the Rocks. So, Dimity, what can people expect if they push the limits tonight?
Well, Georgie, they can expect that police will not be far away. As you can see behind me, officers are already monitoring the growing crowds here in the Rocks. But people can also expect an on-the-spot fine of $550 if they disobey orders to leave a licensed premises because they're too drunk. Now, Georgie, police say they want everyone to have a good night, to drink within their limits and look after each other. But for those who step out of line, Georgie, police say they will use whatever force is needed.
All right, Dimity, thank you. Jane Azzopardi is at Woolwich, one of the harbour's best kept secrets. And Jane, is there any room left there?
Georgie, the best spots are gone, but there is still room, unlike elsewhere around the harbour, already closed at the ticketed events at Barangaroo and Taronga Zoo, as well as the free areas of East Circular Quay, Geeba Park at Pyrmont, Nielsen Park, the Opera House and adjacent precinct, and Mrs Macquarie's Point. They're pretty excited here at Woolwich, though. There have been families here for most of the day, but as you can see, there is still some room for anyone who can walk down here. And you want to know why they're here? Well, take a look at this. Best view of the bridge in town. Now, there are plenty of road closures right around Sydney now, so if you haven't got to your vantage point on Sydney Harbour, you might want to stay on the couch and watch everything unfold on the television, Georgie.
Not a bad idea, Jane, and a perfect segue because Katrina Roundtree and Jason Dundas are at the Opera House heading up tonight's fireworks coverage here on the Nine Network. Tell us, how is tonight's party going to unfold?
Georgie, the family-friendly fireworks show will begin at 8:30. That leads us up to the actual kick-off at 9, and I believe those fireworks will last for about 8 minutes, we've been told.
Yeah, and then, Georgie, after that, we're going to take a little break, and then we're going to come back in a big way about 11:30 for a show that's going to lead up to the bridge and all the celebrations that we've come to love from the greatest city in the world that has the best New Year's Eve fireworks show of all time. And, of course, Kylie Minogue is going to make an appearance with us.
Can't wait for the coverage. Best of luck with it. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Well, a plan to spend New Year's Eve on a yacht in the harbour has instead turned into a family tragedy. A mother from Carlingford drowned after falling from the family boat, which was moored in Rose Bay.
Lights in the sky and boats on the water for all the wrong reasons. It was a harrowing return to shore, a husband and his 2 young children on a lonely wharf, a wife and mother missing in the dark harbour. They had been spending the night before New Year's on Rose Bay.
The husband come up to the deck of the vessel and could not locate his wife. He was then notified of authorities.
The conditions for the search were actually quite reasonable this morning. There was light winds, the harbour was very calm, there was good moonlight.
4 hours into the search, this was the heartbreaking moment. A woman's body found in the water just 30 metres from where police were coordinating the effort.
The husband's very distraught and he'll be spoken to at a later time. It's sad at this time of year to obviously to lose someone, and yeah, my heart goes out to them.
On a day as calm as this, it's hard to imagine the harbour could have such devastating consequences. The police say it's the lethal mix of alcohol that changes everything. They believe the 49-year-old had been drinking before her disappearance. A post-mortem will now be carried out to determine how she died. Matthew Snelson, 9 News.
Tonight, shark alert, a big scare for thousands of Bondi beachgoers. Before and after, fabulous fireworks and the mess that was left behind. But a busy night for police as some party too hard. Also, a last-minute deal saves America from the fiscal cliff. And the PM and friend meet Australia's cricketers.
This is 9 News with Georgie Gardner.
Good evening. Perfect weather on New Year's Day at one of the world's most iconic beaches and not a single person in the water. That was the extraordinary scene at Bondi this afternoon when a shark alarm sounded. Sarah Harris is there. Sarah, tell us what happened.
Well, Georgie, it has been one very hot New Year's Day, 6 o'clock at night. And look, as you can see, Bondi Beach is absolutely packed. 40,000 people have headed here today to recover from last night's celebrations. But just after 4 o'clock this afternoon, people got more than they bargained for. A shark measuring more than 2 metres was spotted off the point by a patrol boat. It was right near where hundreds of people were swimming. Now, after a very nervous few days here in Sydney with a number of shark attacks, it only took the alarm to ring once before hundreds of people poured out of the water and onto the sand. Here's what some beachgoers had to say.
It was really scary. I'm from America and we don't have any kind of shark alarms like that.
Everyone came running, like ran off to the shore. Yeah. Pretty scary.
Now, Georgie, we had surf boat crews and also the Westpac helicopter scouring the coastline for about 15-20 minutes before swimmers were finally given the all clear to get back into the water. But, Georgie, as you can see, most of them aren't taking too many chances. They're only swimming in the shallows. All of this excitement comes at the end of a pretty big day when we were all recovering from last night's Big Bash. After one of the biggest parties on the planet, came the monster hangover. The morning after the night before, Sydney was seedy, sick and stinking from too much celebrating. It was going to take a lot more than Panadol and a good lie down to make it all better. Truck after truck hit the harbour foreshore early, moving rubbish by the ton.
As I came down Macquarie Street this morning, you really would know that there had been an event.
7 a.m. at Bondi and the party was still going. But after a long night of dancing,
Happy New Year!
Some were a little worse for wear.
Yeah, we just thought we'd take a nap with our duvets. It's been great fun.
A new year brings new beginnings, and for this couple, their firstborn, baby Harriet, was a blessing, arriving just after midnight at Nepean Hospital.
Shocked and amazed, and the best way to ring in the new year that I could think of.
Nothing but sunshine and blue sky. The first day of 2013 was a cracker.
Happy New Year!
Happy New Year!
From Bondi to Manly, the beaches were heaving.
I'm having a hard time finding water amongst all the people.
Yeah, definitely cleanse the sins.
Was it that wild last night?
Things got out of hand.
Things escalated.
It was a battle just getting there. This was the queue for the Bondi bus. Sarah Harris, 9 News. Well, Sylvia Jeffries is at Mrs Macquarie's chair, and Sylvia, as we see, glorious weather to kick off the new year. How hot did it actually get?
Well, Georgie, at spots like this along the harbour, the temperature was actually quite mild today with a top of just 22 degrees. It was similar for beach suburbs as well, as a strong sea breeze settled over much of the city. But it was a very different story in our west. The mercury soared to 40 degrees at Penrith and Camden, 39.6 at Richmond, and Badgerys Creek hit a very warm 37 degrees. Now, we will feel the effects of a southerly change from this evening, which means tomorrow won't be quite as picture perfect as today. That change, though, will at least bring some relief from the heat, but not for long. I will be back with the 7-day forecast a little later, Georgie.
All right, Sylvia, we'll see you then. Thank you. Well, conditions were perfect for the 1.5 million people who celebrated the New Year around the harbour last night. Kylie Minogue's fireworks extravaganza ensured the special night was sealed with a kiss.
It's a fireworks show that not only captivates the world, but brings it to Sydney shores.
We drove all the way from Perth to come over here just for the fireworks.
And what better spot to soak it all up than the Opera Bar?
You can't get better than this, can you? It's amazing. It's so amazing. It was around $300.
Worth the money?
Yes, definitely.
You could grab the same view for free on one condition.
We've been waiting from about 9 o'clock this morning.
Lots of card games, lots of food, lots of water and sunscreen.
The Lymanovska family from Sans Souci has played the waiting game here for the past 20 years.
Since I was born, pretty much, I haven't missed 1 year at all.
Not everyone was powering through to midnight.
I think the fireworks have worn him out. He thoroughly enjoyed them though.
Time for our pop princess to push the party into top speed. Kylie's 25 years of hits, the perfect soundtrack for a spellbinding show.
Right now, all the queues, all the hours of waiting, none of it matters when you've got a front row ticket for the most dazzling New Year's Eve spectacle in the world. What did you think of the fireworks?
They were awesome. It was fabulous. And the love heart. The best ever show. Never seen anything like it.
Many welcomed the new year in the traditional way, though some kisses lingered longer than others. The Parramatta River lit up in a fiery display for those avoiding the trek into town. They were saved the queues as the masses exited Circular Quay by public transport or private chauffeur. Dan Nolan, 9 News.
Well, New Year's Eve is always a celebration, but when the fun turns ugly, it can become a nightmare. And every year, it's our police and ambulance officers who are left to deal with the consequences.
The other flashing lights of New Year's Eve. The flames. And the sirens spelling trouble. The not-so-happy New Year.
We certainly have had a busy night.
Police keeping an eye on the revellers and the rowdy. Almost 100 people arrested across the city.
That is an increase on last year. 29 of those arrests were actually in relation to a drug dog operation that we ran at a Bondi transport interchange.
At Ingleburn, a police paddy wagon overturned. 2 officers injured, along with 4 men in the back, arrested over a brawl. As fireworks lit up the bridge, fire crews just up George Street were battling a blaze at a hot dog stand. Smoke streaming down to the harbour. Ambulance crews took more than 1,500 calls between 9 p.m. and 3 a.m, 3 times a normal night, most of them alcohol and drug related. On roads out of the city, police lay in wait.
Mate, have you had any illicit drugs this evening?
No.
No? All right, have you done one of these tests before?
No, I haven't.
9 News joined a unit on the M2.
Did you actually inhale like a joint or a bong or anything like that tonight?
Yeah, a bit of a joint.
Another driver is arrested, a bag of cannabis allegedly found in his car. The fireworks are over and this is when things are starting to get busy for police here on the M2. 2013 is less than an hour old and it hasn't got off to a happy start for some drivers. Earlier, she'd returned a positive roadside reading.
So I'm arresting you, so what do I need to do? You got to hop out of the car?
A second test will be sent to a lab for a definitive result. In the meantime, she's banned from driving for 24 hours.
You shouldn't be taking drugs at all, but if you are, definitely don't get behind the wheel because it's just a disaster waiting to happen.
The New Year hangover is worse for at least one driver in Gladesville today. An RBT picking up a drunk driver 12 hours after midnight. Jane Azzopardi, 9 News.